The final word in our study is the famous, the illustrious word firstborn, which in Greek is translated as prototokos. This is a matter of much debate and much discussion on YouTube and on the web in general. What does prototokos mean? Prototokos. Prototokos is made of two words, proto and tokos. These two words are simply translated as first and born. Protos means first, and tokos is from the word born. Most translations agree with that. The earlier translation says first begotten, like the Coverdale, Geneva, Tyndale, and Wycliffe. But most other translation puts it as the firstborn. I put them on your screen in here. If you have one of these Bibles, you will find that prototokos is translated as firstborn. But there are some verses, some translations that render it differently. We see here at the bottom of the screen, some says is the first of all creation, the first of every creature, or is supreme over, maybe he's the primal source of all creation, or the primal source of every creature. Or the TCNT or the WNT says firstborn, they do say that, but then they add and head or and Lord. So that's what we're going to look at. Why do some translation render it differently than firstborn? And the main reason I wanted to do that is because there's a big argument amongst both Unitarians and Trinitarians, and Unitarian versus Trinitarian, who disagree on that. Should it be prototokos meaning firstborn, or does prototokos means supreme over? So we're going to look at that right now. On your screen here now is the words in Greek in the New Testament that have proto as a starting base, which means first. Now you see here where the first one says is preeminent. This is the translation of the word proteo. I think I said it right. Preeminence means the first, either in rank or influence. Protoka Federia is the chief seat, sitting first. So you see here the word first here always comes, but sometimes the word first can mean the head, the head seat, the head place, the head chief. But in Greek they use the first instead of the word head, because that person is first in rank, or first in influence, or first in order, first in importance, first in time, first in place. First in Greek means a lot of things, and this is why you have all these words in here. Some people say that prototokos means not first born, but means head born, and sometimes even they get rid of the word tokos and leave it as proto, first of all creation. Doesn't have the word born in it. Now in the New Testament the word prototokos does not appear many times. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. The word prototokos does not happen very often, and most people, when they want to define the word prototokos, look at the Old Testament and say, look, it says firstborn here, but here it's applied differently in some places, and therefore we should apply that understanding on the New Testament verses and translate in Colossians 1:15 the word prototokos as supreme or preeminent over all creation. So what I did is that I looked at the Old Testament and I did not look at the English. I looked at the Greek of the Old Testament in a Septuagint. For those who are familiar with Septuagint, it's basically a manuscript written by Hebrews in time before Christ, when they realized that the Jews were dispersed throughout the world and that the world language was Greek, and so that those Jews who were in other parts of the world who did not speak Hebrew much anymore needed to understand the scriptures. They gathered 72 men, top chief scribes, the head of the intellectual of the time, to translate the Hebrew into Greek before the time of Christ. And it's called the Septuagint. Septuagint was written in Greek, and the word prototokos there is in the text more than 100 times. I've put the verses here for your reference. If you're really interested in it, pause the video or come back on it later and then check those references. You will find that 99% of the time the word prototokos in the Septuagint is translated in our English Bibles as the firstborn. It is undeniable that the word prototokos for the Greek of that time meant firstborn and nothing else. The Bible talks about the firstborn son of Pharaoh who died. It talks about the firstborn fruit of the field to be sacrificed, the firstborn lamb, the firstborn to be a sacrifice to God. It talks about firstborn of man who was to be redeemed and be given a sacrifice instead, so that he may keep his life. There's a lot of simple verses that describe prototokos as firstborn, and most of these verses here, there's over 100, that 99% of them, the word prototokos does simply mean firstborn. And so in the Greek also, out of these 9 verses, if you put firstborn in that place, is clearly understandable and straight to the text. Firstborn, there's no confusion with that, should not be translated according to all these 100+ verses as something else than firstborn. Some do, and I don't know where you get it from, and maybe we should talk about it. And I think this is what we're going to do. I'm going to make another video attached to this one as the part 2 of our video, and we're going to talk about the implication of what we've looked at today, the implication of Colossians 1:15. What does it mean now that we have that translation, that Jesus is the firstborn of every creature and not supreme or preeminent over all creation like some people translate or interpret it to be? What's the implication of it? What does it mean to us? How is it related to the rest of the New Testament? How should it change or preserve your doctrine? Stay tuned, and thank you for watching. God bless you all in Christ Jesus.